Welcome to the Nobody Told Me That podcast. My name is Teresa Duncan, and my goal is to share information that you probably weren't thinking about. I love preparing my friends for situations that may come completely out of the blue. I also want to share with you many of the tidbits I picked up over the years. If you absolutely have to tune out before the end of the show, make sure to check out the show notes for more details on today's topics and information about my online class, Dental Insurance Design and Management. And thank you so much for making me a part of your day. I'd like to give a shout out to my friends at Synergy Dental Partners for sponsoring our podcast. They know how important the admin team is to our industry. Synergy is a group purchasing organization, or GPO. GPOs reduce your overhead with lower supply costs. They also have partnerships with labs and various service providers. You owe it to your revenue cycle to check them out. They're giving Nobody Told Me That listeners a 2-month free trial and a $200 Darby credit for new Darby customers. For more information, check out the link in the show notes or go to odysseymgmt.com/synergy. And we are back with another episode of Nobody Told Me That. And you all know I love to bring my friends on. I have Ted Osterer here with me. And if you are audio only, you should see him. He's all smiling and like championing himself. You know, I'm so happy that you're here.
I'm wearing my finest cologne as well for our listeners.
I'm so excited just for me. So dear listeners, Ted and I have known each other for a very long time, back when he was at Care Credit, which is also another fine company. And now you are at Synergy Dental Partners. You are like VP Superman, like you're just an amazing all around guy there. My listeners are used to me like being everybody is amazing that I bring on. But seriously, like I have so much fun. You guys know from seeing me on the road that I like to laugh and have a good time. And Ted is one of those that always happens. Like it's a guarantee. I see his face and it's just immediate like, oh, this is going to be fun. So, but Ted, you were an office manager. Like we've talked about this. You were an office manager at one point, and now you're like super VP at a GPO, which we'll get into. What the heck happened there? What's going on?
I've been in dentistry going on 14 years. You know, I started as a supply rep up in the greater New York metropolitan area. And I entered my early 30s, and I was we were expecting our first child, and we just bought a home, and all I kept hearing about was the growth of the independent dentist into baby DSOs, into DSOs, and so on. And I kept on hearing about it. And I said, you know, I should learn the ins and outs of this now. You know, I need to do this now. This is an up and coming time. Everything's in hyper growth mode. And I was introduced to a multi-location practice in New York. 10 locations. This particular office was on 77th and 1st in Manhattan. And I was brutally honest with them. You know, I'd been in dentistry for 5 years at that point as a supply rep. And I was like, listen, you're going to want to smash my head every single day that you're training me. But I promise I'm going to produce results for you. And that's exactly what happened. And I started on a full 2-week working interview. They're like, listen, we're not going to train you how to check people in and out on the dime. Why don't you learn this now? And then when you're ready to go, we'll hit the ground running. And as you know, you don't learn that right away. And I'll tell you a quick story. The first time I had to check someone out, right? I'm sitting at the front desk and my buddy Jeremy, now he's Dr. Lalek. My buddy Jeremy is front desk manager at the time, tasked me, says, check this person out, please. Well, okay, no problem. I've been in dentistry for 5 years. I know everything. I will check this person out. What did they get? And he goes, well, an exam, cleaning, and x-rays. I'm like, okay, cool. So exam, EXAM. And like 6,000 people, you know, 6,000 results show up, right? And he's just oh, it's they're a new patient, 0150, and that's what we do for new patient exam. But great, okay. Select that. Cleaning, CLE. Jeremy, nothing popped up. What is this? And Jeremy is like, oh, it's adult profile. It's D1110, and that's a cleaning for adults. I'm like, wait, why is it? Okay. The person's right in front of me. And then X-rays, XR.
Right.
And you know that feeling you get in your stomach when you get pulled over? That's how I felt at that moment. I just learned I knew nothing. And it was a crash course. And I just looked at in office and dentistry at a whole other level, and just the
Hmm.
utmost, not that I didn't respect it before, but I just gained this newfound 10,000% respect just for the dental office itself and everyone in it from the front to the back, and how every player plays such a major role in the patient experience, in the team experience, how accountable everyone has to be, and so on. And I just learned then. My manager at the time, he was a dentist in the Philippines before coming over, and he could place
Okay.
implants. And then when he came to the States, he ran the practice instead. And I was very,
Yeah.
very blessed to learn everything from him, from opening the insurance mail on Mondays when you get the checks, to
Yep.
writing out the treatment as he's presenting it. I learned how to present treatment, and within 4 months, I was a practice manager. And
Nice.
the practice I was assigned to was only open 9 days. We were traveling to other locations in the other days. And in those 9 days, we were collecting about 35,000 for the month. In 6 weeks, I brought that number to 80,000 on
Look at
those nine
that. That's
days.
great. For just 9 days.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
And I
great.
learned, the practice in Manhattan that I worked at, they took all insurances except for government
Wow.
issue. But we took DMOs, PPOs, ortho days. We were seeing 80 patients. We had
Mm.
two full-time practitioners, one that came in 3 days. We had two full-time hygienists. It was nothing but a team effort to make that practice go, go, go. So my normal was not the 15, 20 patient per day practice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then,
Well, DMO practices are very busy by itself. So
yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
no, you're right. I'm taking this on a world in its own. And I learned to present third party financing. I
Yeah.
learned how to collect up front. I learned the patient flow. I wrote the script with my background on how to answer the phones for the organization. I implemented new policies just because it worked in business. And business and
Hmm.
dentistry, they're not oil and water, but they don't always cross over very well.
Yeah. I think you're
And
right. Yep.
my first Invisalign day I had in my practice, we got audited by Care Credit because we did like 1,200 the year before in that office to 14,000 that day. and
Yeah, that's going to set off a flag.
yeah, and I was like
Yeah.
flattered. Like they called and like, hey, we want to know some things. I'm like, go ahead. This is great. Absolutely. Can I put this on my
Yeah.
resume? That's incredible.
That's
And
so funny.
sure enough, within the year, I was recruited to work for Care Credit.
Hmm.
Where I had great success and made such great relationships and met a bunch of wonderful people. And, just because I was offering third party financing in house, I was able to I spoke dental,
Yeah.
moving forward. I could empathize with the front desk team members. I could empathize with the assistants. I understood that if the doctor was having a bad day, I was having a way worse day. Let's prevent those bad days.
Right, right. That's
And
so funny. That's actually a really good like motto. If your doctor's having a bad day, you're having a really bad day. It's
yeah,
true. It's so true.
and
I'm impressed. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, please, yeah,
I'm impressed with the person who hired you just saying, here's like not even giving you the code book, not making sure that you knew the glossary and the terms and all that kind of stuff. I mean, that's hilarious just typing in x-rays and expecting it because nobody told me that. Nobody tells you that it's like radiographs and then cleanings being called prophylaxis. Well, when I first started, I was like prophylactic, like a rubber, like a condom. Like that's what I thought because I didn't know it meant preventive stuff. I was just out of college and I had never come across that term before. So I was like, what's this?
yeah.
So yeah, you do learn some stuff. But I'm impressed they put you on like 2 weeks. It was like just threw you in sink or swim. And I mean, it doesn't surprise me that you swam. So that makes total sense.
I had
Yeah.
to make myself valuable to an excellent team. And I was wearing a
Hmm.
tie to work and taking out the trash and unloading the supplies and whatever they needed help with. I needed to prove that I was willing to do whatever they are doing. And it's like I respected them so much. I felt I had to earn theirs. So
Yeah. So I'm thinking the office managers that are listening right now are thinking, where do I get that? Because like, where's my Patterson or Shine Rep, when are they coming in again? Because I'm hiring them. Because one thing that you're saying is like you had to prove yourself to the team, you had to earn their respect. And one thing that managers are hearing all the time now is like, it's almost like we have to bring a horse to water to get them to do like the basics of their job.
Yeah.
And it's very frustrating right now that there isn't that sense of, I need to blow this team away. A lot of times I'm hearing that like, I'm like just getting them to do the basics is hard, much less having them think 3 steps ahead or even take on a project. Like just initiating a project you just don't see that except for like a once in a while superstar. And then you feel like you have to hold on to that person forever. So, and in your case, like you're not going to you're going to go to the next big opportunity in which you think that you can make a big difference. And that's why when I heard that you left Care Credit and went to Synergy, I was like, no, I mean, it's good now, but I was like, what? Why are you leaving me? Like, that's kind of how I felt. And I felt that way about Julie Dugan. Shout out to Julie Dugan in the Northern Virginia area. She left Care Credit during the COVID thing. She took the buyout, the package, and then she shows up at Sprint Ray, and I'm like, but you're in Pennsylvania now. Like, you're killing me. So I think good people always are going to resurface and still do amazing things where they are. So you're in a GPO, which is a group purchasing organization. So
Yes.
again, we've got PPO, EPO, HMO, like there's so many, DSO. We're just getting overloaded. So GPO though is what we need to know, even if we're not a DSO, like even an independent practice needs to know what it is. And I think what was explained to me, and I definitely need to hear your definition of it. I'm going to give you what my perception of it was.
Yeah.
When I heard about it, I thought, okay, well, it's a way to compete with the pricing that the DSOs have, because we're just solo out here and we don't have this like leverage on the companies. And so I always thought it was like a way to strong arm the suppliers into giving me good rates. And then I remember investigating it. And this is when I was in private practice 15, 20 years ago, probably around the same time you were managing. And I remember looking at the membership rates, like, we're never going to make our money back with these membership rates. Like, this is ridiculous. And then of course you just don't think about it. And you spend time on the phone with Darby, you spend time, with your rep, hoping that they're not screwing you over. And there's good reps all over. So I don't want to say that, but for me, a GPO meant another monthly fee with no guaranteed ROI. And I've since learned it's really evolved way past that. Same premise, but the ROI is more tangible now. So let us know when somebody comes to you, Ted, and says, what the heck do you do? What is this company you're trying to tell me about? What do you say?
9 out of 10 dentists come to me because they want to lower their supply costs, right? Just that's the first thing they notice. It's right in front of them, their invoices. They look at the bottom line of that invoice and just say, how can I lower it? And I mean, bottom line is in the definition, and I mean it as in like the bottom line of their overall practice overhead as well. And they see this number and it scares them.
Okay.
And they come to me and they say, I want to lower my supply costs. And I say, great, I can help you, right? And, you bring up the reps and so on. If you tell a rep, and I'm not saying this is every rep, if you tell a rep you want to save money, they're going to tell you to change composites, change your cement, buy house brand. And that's what they'll say. The point of us is to keep your pricing low all year, right? All Synergy members have access to the same pricing. We spend all day, our director of procurement, and for those that don't know what procurement is, it's someone that negotiates rates and costs and numbers. That's what they do. Mm-hmm. Our head of procurement is named Jim Gochis, and he beats up our supply partners all day to keep pricing low. That's just what he does. If he finds out it's lower elsewhere, we have the data to prove it. Yeah. Lower it to this. Why is this? And Jim is the nicest guy, but I don't want to be on.
How funny.
Yeah. But that's.
No, I get it. That's how us office managers are, right? Like we're super sweet, but then we're pit bulls. So I get it. I appreciate Jim.
And I'll tell doctors, like, we take the fun of shopping away from you. Like if you spend all this time searching for the lowest prices, you got 6 tabs open, you're texting 3 different reps, you just got off the phone with another supplier. We did all that already.
Yeah.
A GPO, a group purchase organization, a dental buying club, which is not the greatest term, but I don't love any term for what exactly we are, right? We're a giant dental buying group. We're a
Right.
collaboration of independent dental practices, and we take the volume of us and get our members DSO pricing on supply costs, on lab
Okay.
fees with our vendor partners. So Darby Dental is our anchor supplier. We've been with them the longest, and the last few years, they've really stepped their game up, right? Our members don't pay shipping charges, and we offer our members the most competitive pricing they're going to offer on their everyday bottom line price to the independent dental office or dental buying groups or themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
The doctor has peace of mind. They no longer have to buy four to get one free if the net cost is going to equal that buy four to get one free. You
Okay.
don't need shade C3 on the shelf for the next 2 years before it expires because you think it
Yeah.
was free. No, we're freeing up inventory. We're freeing up cash flow. We're giving you that peace of mind that you're going to look. If it's not always the lowest cost in dentistry, it's still going to be competitive.
Mm-hmm.
For
Mm-hmm.
those offices that it did not work out with us, they were not like, I hate those guys. They're jerks. It was just, hey, look, it wasn't a good fit for our practice. And not
Right.
everything is, no matter what it is or who it is.
Yeah.
But you really see that we're trying to fight the good fight. We're trying to keep the independent dentist not alive. That's not fair. We're trying to keep the independent dentist strong and confident and not looking over their shoulder and not getting price gouge on their supply costs. Look, if you want a bunch of expensive things, go buy a bunch of expensive things. It's kind of what it comes down to. If you
Yeah.
have a set formulary that you buy all the time, we're going to tell you to buy the exact same products and pay less for it because you're a Synergy member.
So, what's interesting, you mentioned formulary, and that's something that I don't think a lot of small offices know the term, especially if you're newer to the industry. And so, when you work for a larger company, a larger practice, multi locations, the word formulary comes into play because the associate dentists come in and they're told, here's our list. And that's the formulary. Here's what we buy. So here's what you're able to use. And if you want to use a different product, maybe you're used to a different product, you got to tell us what it is and we got to see if it works. And if it doesn't work, price wise, we can't get it, then you obviously don't use it, or you use it, but you take a hit. Like I've seen some offices like actually put that into the contract that because you want to use this material, it hits your contract, and which I think is weird, but I get it. So as a
Yeah.
practice owner, there's give and take, right? So when an office comes to you, and most of you listening have a formulary, you just don't know it. That's your supply list. Like that's your list that you're doing. It's your supply list. But when
Yes.
you get many doctors involved, this is why when your hygienists come in and want to use 500 different scalers from all these different companies, but not the one that you've been ordering from the most, like this is why a formulary is important because you've proven ROI with this list of supplies. So they come to you, they give you the list, and just walk me through it. Like, so this is like onboarding for you, right? So you get their list and then you just go down the list and say, score, we can do this. We can't touch this. Is that pretty much how it works? Like they just hand you their list?
There are so many outlets of how they will come to us. There are
Okay.
offices, there are practices, there are practitioners that will send me their last 3 months of invoices and we'll compare what they
Okay.
would have paid had they been Synergy members. They'll see the savings right there. The numbers do not lie, right?
Got
There
it.
are some items that are going to have stronger discounts than others, and it's just the nature of it, but you are assured that you're going to get an aggressive price on it. And, when you speak of formularies and, we do have Synergy preferred brands and we do have certain items that, manufacturers really step to the plate.
Mm-hmm.
We'll negotiate with manufacturers to lower their cost to Darby, to lower their cost to you also.
Okay.
And I mean, look, I'll throw out Luxatemp, I'll throw out Septicane. Like, if you could
Okay.
get those for a fraction of the price, it's advantageous for you to check it out.
Yeah.
We do have a software even included in our membership. It's called Method Procurement. It will take the pricing that you get now and compare it to the pricing that
Mm-hmm.
Darby offers Synergy members. It'll compare it right there on the spot, and you can order all of your supplies from this one website, which is proof right there, each
Okay.
order, how much you're saving.
So one
But
website. So you're talking one website. So that's another thing too, is like, I know when I was I had 4 different people I was calling every month. And this was before texting. So I like to actually had to call and leave a message, and then they had to call me back. And
Yeah.
that's how old I am. So now, like, I know everybody's got each other's text numbers and all that. So I would rather go to one. First of all, I don't want to talk to anyone, Ted. I would rather go to one portal and do everything there. So that's how you have it set up. Are you finding that too? Like, nobody wants to talk to you. They just want to go to the portal.
How many times have you read a
Well,
text
not
and it
you.
says, sorry, just seeing this now? Even.
Oh, that's me.
But if you need something, we can
Yeah.
eliminate that. And no, people don't want to check their emails anymore. People don't want to check. Everything feels like extra work. We've already done the work for you.
Okay.
You place an order, it shows up the next day or two. In Hawaii, a week.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah.
But look, the whole point is to order the same products you're ordering now for less money. Or if you're willing to switch onto, equal items that cost less for a much, much greater discount. I mean, look, if you don't want to do that, you don't have to. It's still an option.
Right.
The whole point of our membership is to have enough offerings for you to respectfully take or leave. And
so,
go ahead.
No, go ahead, Ted.
No, you said so.
People, this is how we are. This is how we are. We just get excited.
For those listening, we've been speaking for 4 hours and we just decided to hit record.
I know this could have been a Joe Rogan podcast. We just talked and we were like, hey, let me look this up. And we just start talking when I'm looking this up. It's so funny. Let me just ask you, because there is a concept that is pretty normal now, but years ago it wasn't. And I think this really allowed I would say before the GPOs came into play, this was the biggest asset that the distributors had, is that there was just in time, the concept of just in time ordering. And when I started, it was, and this is, let me see, when did I start? I want to say 90s, 93 or something. So, oh my gosh, you weren't even born, were you? You were born.
I was 9. I was probably much happier.
I was probably talking to someone's mom, like your mom, saying your kid needs fluoride. Like that's
stories in black and white.
Anyways, so I was. It's terrible. So I would look and see like who could deliver stuff within 2 days. And my ordering process was, I can't crunch that, right? Unless one of our locations had another office in the building. So we could always, like, if we ran out of time, but it was a real thing. Like, you needed to know, could that person get to you in 2 days? And living in the Northern Virginia area, we did have like the capability. There's offices all over, but when you're living in Kansas or Iowa, there's not like a Patterson down the road most of the time. So it's just in time was something that I'm glad that the industry really embraced. And it was really like you could get your stuff even the next day or even the same day, right? So that was how they started competing with each other. Come with me, just in time, just in time. So I don't have to worry about that with you guys now, because aren't they all just in time at this point? Or are there still certain products where, and I'm not talking equipment, but are there still products that I don't want to set the expectation too high that it is going to take a while, that they come from different countries? What are you finding with that?
No, Darby Dental is an authorized vendor.
Okay.
So, Shine being the largest distributor in the country, Patterson being the second largest as of this recording, right? Like, let's set this thing. As I say this, Darby is the largest privately owned distributor in the country right now.
Okay.
And, they have 3M, they have Ufridi, Horaeus Colzer, GC America, DMG, Carrare, Premier, Colteen. Well, I don't want to offend any manufacturers. Dentsply, Kirk. They have all of them. And as a Synergy member, you will get everything in a timely manner. You will get everything as authorized. You will have access to deals and specialized pricing and promotions and so on, and just pay less. And a lot of the times you are eliminating a middleman. Of course, the reason they could sell under more economical or for less money, they have less overhead because their reps are over the phone and not in the field. And our liaison reps, they've been with Darby for 25 years. I mean, I would hold them and their knowledge up against anyone in the industry regarding the supplies and what they do and what is an economical option, what is a strong option, what makes sense for the practice, And you're not worried about something gray market, where you don't know where the supplies are coming from, or yeah, of course, I got a great deal on this, and it only took 2.5 weeks to get here, and it only cost me $60 shipping, but I only saw the price, so I'm not checking everything.
Yeah.
You kind of need to pay attention to this. You kind of need to understand what you're liable for insurance wise if you're using an unauthorized vendor or a gray market, which is kind of what that is. It's aftermarket
Yeah,
product.
actually, let's stop for a second because I want to talk about that. Because doctors sometimes talk about this in study clubs, like, why did this not work out? This product was awful. And then you trace it back and you're like, wait a second, this was not an authorized product. Like, it was basically a fake, right? Or is gray market also describing products that have been like they're out of date? Is that another way? Or
They
is it
could be
mostly
out
just
of date.
fakes?
They could be for
Okay.
overseas from a different manufacturer. They could have been
Okay.
non-refrigerated when they should have been refrigerated,
Ah,
mishandled,
okay.
expired,
Okay.
excess, so on, where it's being sold from an aftermarket dealer, almost,
You start to realize who those are. I mean, if the price is too good to be true, it's probably
you get what you
that
pay for,
person.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Well, and well, like we were talking in the pregame, like when I was first started blogging, there was a blog writer called the Dental Insider. And what was really amazing is that he was like calling out the gray market people left and right because like he knew they were selling bad products. And so you would get, lidocaine that wasn't real lidocaine, or it was a weird mixture, like in the composites were the big one. And because you would look at the packaging and it wasn't what you were expecting, or it's a different mixture or something
Yeah.
like that. And so, but lots of doctors were buying. And then talk about your eBay, getting supplies off eBay, which I know some vendors go to eBay, but my gosh, like that shouldn't be like your first going for supplies. Like that's weird.
And it's funny. I'll ask doctors, where do you order supplies from? Because we're very upfront here. Let's go over how we can help you. Let's go over if we can help you. Let's find out what you're paying now, where you get your supplies from now. A couple of them, some from Amazon, some from eBay. And now, guys, picture yourself as a patient and you're in a dental chair. An assistant walks into the room with a box and it's got eBay tape and wrapping and packaging all over it. And then she opens the box, puts some in the cabinet, puts some on the tray in front of you, and then turns to you and goes, okay, open. And it's like, guys, that can't be good, right? Like,
Right.
the point of
Right.
us is to not take drastic measures. And look, the point of us is to keep your supply costs around or below that 5% threshold, which all experts have been saying you should be at for realistically quite
Right.
some time now, without going to eBay, without ordering gray market, you tell your assistant, just find me the best deal. They will shop for a long time. They will take a ton of time. They will take a lot of your service costs, I should say, right? Just the cost of having them. And they will look for what they believe to be the best deals without factoring free goods, without factoring where the supplies are coming from, without understanding where they're coming from. That's of no fault of their own. They went on Google and looked for cheap dental supplies, and you're getting what you pay for. Now you're mad at them because something's on back order, or it's taking 2 weeks to get there, or it's, what do you want to call it, fraudulent material, or it's melting in your hand, or the impressions won't mix, or this is because of where you're ordering your supplies from. If you could get those costs from authorized vendors within the next day or two, I mean, if that's not peace of mind to know that your office is running you don't have to worry about whether the room is dressed up or not, or, we have that onlay next Friday. Is my material going to come, in time?
I know.
And that's what we're here for. You got the price that you want in the time that you needed it. Going back to your point from before, that's what makes it so valuable.
You said 5%. That's what most of the CPAs, bookkeepers, like the planner people, they'll tell you 5% is a good amount for inventory or for supply costs. How high have you seen it? Have you seen any
14
that are like 14?
I've seen 14. I've seen 20.
Are they just double ordering or just not even price shopping? Like, how does it
usually, look, if you're that close with your supply rep, I mean that close, you're at each other's personal events, you're supporting them. However, you might be paying full retail, if not more, for your products in some cases. And please, guys, this is not everybody. This is not everything. We had an office come to us last year, and we did a supply analysis on how much they would be saving on their supply costs. And guys, this is an extreme example, but this is just supply costs without getting into any of our other 30 plus vendors that we're partnered with. This is just the price we've negotiated with Darby. This office would have saved $1,000 a month to join us. Oh, wow. And the office manager I was dealing with was the doctor's spouse in the situation. And she disclosed our doctor's best friends with the Shine rep.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I said, do yourself a favor. How close are you? Oh, we're so close. All right. We're going to save you $1,000 a month. That's $12,000 a year. Write your buddy a check for $4,000. And you still save $8,000. And you best believe he's going to be real happy when you give him that check. And of course, you know, I said that in a tongue-in-cheek manner. They joined. There's enough business to go around. We're saving them a ton of money. Their relationship has not been severed. And it's a success story from all parties because, you know, even to keep your reps honest to see the pricing that we can offer.
Just a reminder to check out the companies who support the show. My friends at Synergy Dental Partners are offering 2 free months to try out their lower prices for labs, supplies, and select software services. To sign up, visit odysseymgmt.com/synergy, and the link is also in the show notes. So here's the thing. This is why when you landed at Synergy, I was like, okay, let me check into these GPOs because it had been a while since I've looked into it. And the reason why I felt like I needed to look into it, yes, of course it's you, Ted, but let me tell you the other reason is that there were so many questions. You know, I talk about insurance and saving money, revenue cycle and all that. And I got so many questions of, I'm getting killed with PPO pricing. I can't, for whatever reason, leave the network. I can't go out of network, you know, and that's a whole different podcast. What on earth am I supposed to do? I'm heavy with admin. I'm heavy with staffing. My hygienist, you know, is asking for X amount. Like a hygienist asking in our area and asking for $70 an hour. And that's just average in our area, $70 an hour. And the Delta reimbursement for a pro fee is, I think, at 59 or 60 right now. Like you're just upside down. So you get all of these questions and they're like, okay, so I'm, you know, I would say, what about your supply costs? Like, that's the next thing. Like, let's look at that. Oh, you know, I've been ordering from Shine, Patterson, whatever, all the big ones. And, you know, I ask them and they can move on disposables. Like that's the big thing that they can give you movement on. Well, that's not enough. Right. So when you and I started talking, I was like, you know, they've got to look into something like this. So, but it's not just PPO heavy that come to you, but I want to bring that up. If you are PPO heavy, you have to look at something like this because your supply costs are probably something that you can move. Because right now, and sorry for being long-winded, but right now we cannot change our fees for the PPOs. Like if you were fee for service, you could adjust your fees. We can't do that with PPO fees. So where in our balance sheet, profit and loss and all that, where can we squeeze? And if there's 2 places for me, one is what are we going to do about these credit card fees? Because those are usually nobody really takes a good look at that until they have to. The other one is, are you overstaffed? Which most people right now are not. And before COVID, it would have been a yes. The third place is always the supplies. And so when we look at that, so I think that's probably why like there's such renewed interest in GPOs, I guess, since right before COVID. Like it seemed like everybody was talking about it. How many of your people are PPO offices like looking for a lifeline because they're getting killed with fees?
It would be anecdotal for me to say, but I mean, most.
Yeah.
You know, and
that's why I suspected.
Yeah. And fee for service has really picked up also because they could charge what they'd like and hopefully they could get whatever they're charging. Right. Mm-hmm. But they no longer have the need to spend premiums on products they could pay less for elsewhere.
Yeah.
You know, you could get groceries at Aldi or you can get it at Target and you kind of, you know what I mean? But imagine there's just way more overlap of the products, you know, like if you could get Cheerios at Aldi's, it would probably be $2 less a box, you know? We've been seeing a lot of that regarding the PPO. I mean, my goodness, you know, you talk about credit card fees. We are partnered with merchant service organizations in which they offer amongst the competitive in industry, not just dental.
Okay.
where they
That's good to
understand
know.
and they try and cut away from the hidden fees and show you like, this is what they're charging. This is where you're getting ripped off. This is what's not compliant. You should be spending this. We could probably save. I mean, you're going to save more than the monthly fee with this alone for the most part, right?
Okay.
Then you
Okay.
have, the supply costs being another. Then a lot of PPOs, they send cases to labs. Chances are you're spending a ton of money on labs too.
Yeah.
And that, we're partnered with 7 different labs. If you're looking for all on X, we have labs for you. If you're looking for really just to cut costs, we have labs for you. If you're looking for high end sleep devices at a discount, we have labs for you. And,
Okay.
the 7 labs, if you want to do any research, Oral Arts, Maverick, Premier, Reliable, Studio 360, Naturalike. I don't know if I said Dental Arts. That would have been the last one probably.
No, you didn't say that, but that is something that was kind of the last frontier, I think, for doctors, because when you think of going cheap with the lab, there's almost like a visceral reaction.
Sure.
Like you can say, so, and I know my doctor, our poor lab guy, technology just put him out of business. He couldn't afford to keep up. And it sucks because they were small mom and pop. We watch the kids grow up delivering it's just sad.
Yeah.
But dentists tend to find a lab and then don't move. Like they're squatters on these labs, which is, they have good relationships. So when I would say to a doctor, well, maybe your lab costs are too high, and they would say, I can't change labs. Okay, that's up to you. And I know a lot of people that work at labs. Some of my, really good friends are actually working at labs, but there is movement in the lab industry towards doing bulk pricing for cases. Like you could do 20 you could pre-purchase 20 cases if you wanted to. Like there's always movement in that. But having a relationship, like at least with your organization, they could test drive these different labs if they really needed to. The all on 4 case that's huge. I didn't even know you had that. Like that's good to know, because that's the one question that I get a lot is we're doing all on 4s. We just can't do it. And I go, you know what? If you're heavy PP, you can't do an all on 4 with Delta. You will drive yourself crazy. So I'm glad to know that you have that. Is that almost like a side benefit? People don't realize that the labs are there. Like, do they come to you for the pricing and then they're like, ooh, labs?
Yes.
Like,
Again, and
what's
I
that
will
about?
ask, are you married to your lab?
Well, yeah, you have to
And,
ask that.
and yeah, and then there's someone's like, yeah, I'm paying $175 a crown. And I'm just like, yeah, well, how many crowns are you doing a month? And it's like, well, probably between 15 and 20. It's like, yeah, so we could probably save you thousands of dollars, depending on which lab that you would like to use from our network. A lot of them, like you said, will test drive. They don't look. When I first heard, buying club, I thought of what's being watered down. What would I get
Yes.
myself into? What is cheap? And then it's like, well,
Right.
look, we're partnering with ADP for payroll. We're partnering with Office Depot for office supplies, which are, payroll in itself right there. If you could save money, like you said, the PPO, how much of a benefactor would that be, right? We're partnered with BioHorizon and Keystone for implants and Zest for the locator abutment and their chair side. We're partnered with Brasler and Comet for those that don't send to labs, for all the endos listening.
Mm-hmm.
These are not watered, rundown organization. We're partnered with
Right.
Open Dental for practice management software. We're partnered with Mango Voice now.
Oh, I like Mango. Yeah, that's a great company.
Yeah,
Okay.
and they're growing like wildfires too.
For
They're
sure.
everywhere. You log into
They got
social
good
media, you'll see
customer
them.
service. I don't even work with them. I don't have a relationship with them, but what I have heard, this is just from, I think they've got the best feedback from people on the street because, I hear the bad about a lot of companies and I just don't hear that about them. So shout out to Mango because, good reputation is hard to build in our
Yeah,
industry.
Teresa, if our vendors fail us, if our supply partners fail us, we end the relationship. That we need our members to have value in our membership. And if it's not advantageous for them, then we shouldn't hold them into it, and we'll break up with supply partners because lack of interest or lack of service or lack of quality. We do not want a stigma that says anything like that.
Sure, sure. Well, let me ask you about the lab thing because I'm a little bit curious. I've never used a lab through a GPO. So do you just call the lab and say you're a Synergy client, or do you go through the portal as well and do all your ordering through there? Like, I guess walk me through just the very practical mechanics of it. How does that work?
This is kind of an encompassing answer, and I'm going to include labs in this, right?
Okay.
Upon registration with Synergy, we alert our partners that you become a member.
Okay.
You also have access to a member portal, which you would have access to right away. Upon registration, you get redirected to this. It is our information hub of who all of our partners are, how much money you're saving each month, which obviously
Okay.
we won't have that data for 30 days, but we have updated data up against fair market pricing, how much you are saving as a Synergy member to prove the worth of our membership. And also it's a communication hub in which you can leave your information with any partner of ours that you would like to either work with or find out more information. You're not obligated to do anything. You're not going to break the portal. You leave your information. We see that you've sent it over so we can follow up if you don't hear back. We light fires. We love lighting fires. And, look, you want to work with Crest Oral-B and get discounts, which we've arranged through Synergy. You just leave your information with them. They have representation reach out to ensure that you're getting the best possible pricing. At worst, they'll confirm it with us. We'll provide any information that we need to on our end.
So if they already have an existing account, then it'll be, I guess, flagged that now there's pricing on that.
Yeah, now your pricing's going down. And if you're a Darby customer, you join Synergy and your pricing goes down. So think of all the vendors that I just mentioned, unless there's a contractual wazoo or a hiccup, your pricing will be going down instantaneously upon joining Synergy.
So what if I'm a 10 location practice and I've got it in my head that I'm now a DSO? Are you working with lots of DSOs then? And what does that relationship look like? The next question depends on the answer. Do you work with DSOs? Is that one of your targets or not really?
We get a lot of 3, 4, 5, 6 location groups. Okay. And we do have a couple of 10 and more.
Okay.
And the reason is I'm able to assure is that, look, you sell on price, you lose on price. If I could provide you great processes and a system and great pricing to go along with it, and everyone says systems and processes. Listen, if I could get you on an ordering process that's going to simplify your ordering and get you the pricing that you don't have time to negotiate on your own, you can't negotiate on your own, let us do that for you. And look, eventually you might get too big for us. Let us help you along the way until you can take over.
So I think that's a really honest answer and not just GPOs, but anytime I talk to a company that wants to enter into dentistry, and you've had these conversations, I'm sure, like, what is your target market? A solo doctor or DSO? And most of them are like, well, we see a lot of solos, but eventually we'd like to really, like to nail the DSO market. And I'm like, yeah, everybody and their brother wants to do that, but that's a whole different way of doing business. I think it's weird when a company, and we're not even talking inventory here, but I think it's weird when a company goes in and wants to not only service the small offices, but also the large DSOs, because those are two super hugely different markets. And the people that you deal with at the DSO level are very different than like office manager, like myself, or like what you were in your office. They're just so different. And maybe it's the companies just don't know enough about the dental landscape. I suspect that's what it is, because I think once you get into it, you're like, whoa, these are two different animals. Like you almost have two different sales departments. Like I think you have to have the emerging markets DSO, and then you have to have, regular independent practice. And most of our established companies have realized that along the way. So I think it's really smart and honest of you all to not want to take over the world, because I think that's a big issue with a lot of companies. They just want to take over the world.
Yeah. Look, to those that have multiple practices listening, you can hire a procurement director, $60,000 or $70,000. And I'm making up a number, or you could just have us do it for you. and that's a major difference.
But you're right, though.
Depending on how big your practices are. Yeah, like you just said, like the groups level. Look, you talk up to people, oh, we're going after DSOs, we're going after DSOs. Look, getting the right contact, getting people that are new to dentistry. Look, you have to hold their hands along the way. And I mean that with love and respect. Like, look, hey, I'm a little lost here. Don't just throw a bunch of things at me. If I could talk to one other company, it's going to be totally different. I'm not going to trust either of you guys. That's not fair to anyone involved either. And to have the wherewithal and to understand where your place is. We're going to get a single practitioner the pricing that's offered to a 15 to 40 office DSO.
Mm-hmm. And that's what they want to hear, right? Isn't that's really what they want to hear? I mean, the only reason that I think as a former office manager that I would want to pay you a monthly fee is that I would be able to access over here, like what's going on over there. Like
Yeah.
I'm tired of looking through the glass at everybody else getting lower pricing. Like I'm tired of that. And when there's I'm always amused in a good way when doctors in my classes, they'll start sharing, how do we save money and what about these all on fours and all that. And people are like, well, what you have to sign up with, a purchasing organization or group, and, your name gets thrown out and they're like, what's that? And it's almost like, I almost want to stop and just watch them learn, because then they're like, what? DSOs get different pricing? Because people don't realize that there's different pricing all over the place. So, like, it sucks though, right, Ted, though? That doesn't it suck? Like there should be one price and then you realize there's this whole world of people getting pricing. It kind of sucks in a way.
It does. And, another issue is the distributors, they don't even have access to that DSO pricing for the independent office. They can't even offer it.
Yeah. Yeah. They have rules. They can't do it.
Yeah.
Right. You're right. That sucks. See, that's another thing that sucks.
It does. So, and you look at, if you're at home and you're listening to this, wherever you are in the car, and you think about it, like Marriott's going to get a better deal on beds than the Ted and Teresa hotel.
Yeah. I'm going to go to Mattress Discounter and still not get the same Marriott pricing. It's just not going to happen. So yeah, you're right. You're right. Now, so I just real quick, because when I did the demo of your product a couple of years ago, I think it's been a couple of years. Gosh.
Yeah. Time has flown.
You've probably added, since I know you have, because I try to stay updated, but it's not just supplies. You mentioned some software, you mentioned labs. Are there items that your people are asking for? Like, what do you do if somebody, like, say, bossy Teresa manager calls you and says, hey, how come you don't have a deal with so-and-so? How do you evaluate adding new services? And is there one right now that people are like wanting you to add? And, do you have a white whale that you're chasing out there?
The whale part is a little funny, but I go to my procurement director. But breaking news, hot off the press, by the way, since we're on the subject of whales, we've been talking about it for quite some time now. Synergy Dental Partners has just acquired the Dental Whale Savings Network, in which their members are now our members. That is another GPO. They're a fabulous, well-rounded, just tremendously popular GPO, and they've reached an agreement. And look, hey, great news for those coming over. Your Darby pricing just went down. But happy to share that. Teresa was really the first person to know. And we got that out of the way. So now to answer her actual question, minus any plugs. Whenever someone says something, I document it. And I bring it up at meetings. And I mentioned Jim before. I will go to Jim and say, hey, a lot of people are asking about this. Can you start up a conversation? Are they on our radar? Are we already speaking with them? And there are deals that make it to the finish line and, we twist our ankle. And then there are others where we're not available at the right time. They're not available at the right time. Look, guys, you're dealing with giant corporate entities that we are fighting for on your behalf to get you discounts. And they will drag their feet. And we will drag our feet, or, we have to analyze it. We need to make sure there is a demand for it. We need to make sure that the deal is right. If it's not advantageous to our members, we're not going to have a name for the sake of having a name. It's not fair to any party involved. It messes up with the expectations. Okay. We don't want to come off as, I could have gotten that on my own. That's not the point of us, is to get you deals you could not get on your own.
So the Dental Whale customers, so I'm thrilled that, that we're going to be fresh with this. The Dental Whale customers, so they have been in kind of a flux for a while. Like, I think they've been selling off parts of their company because they were a big company and they've been selling off parts. So you picked up the group purchasing section of it.
Yep.
And now are they, and maybe this is being worked out, but are they going to now get notified and then you just absorb them all? Or like if somebody's driving listening and they're like, wait, what?
Yeah. So if you're driving listening, you should have been notified by the time that you hear this.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. A lot of things are being worked out. Mm-hmm. We want to deliver you the experience that Synergy members have been getting since we revamped Synergy a couple of years ago. Back, at the end of 2021, we revamped Synergy. That's when we got the most competitive pricing Darby offers. That's when our partners lowered their pricing and got way more serious with us because, my goodness, the amount of time and technology that we put into everything making sense, be it, incredibly accurate reporting from our partners, the member portal, which Teresa touched on before, of which you have access to with your savings dashboard. We want to disclose to you you're getting the best deals as a Synergy member. And we want to make sure that the good people coming over from Dental Whale have just as great of an experience as the Synergy members that have been enjoying their membership have been.
That's a pretty big get for you guys. So congratulations on that.
The whole look, it's a big win for the independent dentist.
Mm-hmm,
and now our pricing gets better because we have that many more members that we can leverage to our vendor suppliers. So,
like that.
And when you say, hey, Synergy can get me this deal to whoever you've been ordering from, and they say, well, go with Synergy then. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I will.
Yeah. Look, I am saying this humbly. Let me prove my worth to you. Let me prove that we're for you, and let us have a conversation. If we can help you, great. And if not, hey, great to meet you. No, I mean, honestly, why not?
No, you'll have some laughs. I know that for sure. So I'm glad that you came on. So in a second, I want to make sure that everybody knows how to get in touch with you. So just listeners, the one thing I wanted to make sure that you guys take away from this is that I know that we're all feeling this pinch, like with the PPO pricing. And this is what I'm hearing in classes all the time is we want to get out. We just, first of all, we don't know how. It's going to take a while, and they're bleeding already. And unfortunately, I'm hearing this year, 23 is really kind of a downward slope for a lot of offices, realizing that their profitability, they were slammed so much because people coming back in, and they didn't realize the profitability was not like it should have been much, much higher. And of course, a lot of it is PPO pricing. And so this year in particular, I think has been the hardest year for getting claims paid. And this is just based on the calls I've taken, the strategy calls I've had, being on the road. I think insurance processing has gotten more difficult this year, and we're only in, first half of the year. Then not to mention the whole Change Healthcare debacle, which killed our cash flow for a lot of offices. So why I bring in ways to cut your revenue or to increase your revenue and cut your costs. I mean, this is just a perfect fit. And I just don't know if a lot of people have considered it, or maybe they circled around it years ago and thought, it's not what I need. And I think now to be competitive, you have to look at whether or not it's going to work in your office. And like Ted said, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. At least you've had a good conversation, some fun. You got a business card now you can refer to if you get curious, but maybe it works. And that's like, what's the worst can happen? Maybe it works. And so I just encourage you to get in touch with them.
I'm confident it should work. If only to keep your current reps honest. I'm confident that it's going to work for you. You bring up the PPO and what it's done. You've seen the rise of third-party financing. There is a discounted merchant rate that we've arranged with Care Credit. Realistically the first of its kind. We're really trying to help the independent office grow and have the same resources that a DSO would. Look, if you're looking for education, Synergy members that come and join Synergy now have full access to the Dental Success Network and, and their message boards. And for those of you wondering, guys, if Facebook and Dental Town were really happy places that offered solutions and was run by experts, that's what you're dealing with here. If you're looking to cut costs, that's what we're here for. It's having the resources. And look, how many people join and say, Ted, listen, reach out to me every 3 months, tell me how much I saved. Sure, we do that too. It's the peace of mind knowing that we're fighting every single time. Your ordering team members could log in, place an order, know they're getting the best deal they have access to, and then logging off. And just getting the supplies, or, sending cases to labs, working with you. It was even a few adjustments now will save you how much for the rest of your career, nonetheless, this year. Just making a few minor adjustments, being a change who you order from, or change an ordering platform, or send cases to a different lab. And then look, changing your phone system. That sounds like so much work. It's a quarter of your day, And for those wondering the fee, we need to discuss what the best option regarding the fee is for you. Please know that all Synergy members start out on a trial. There is no contract. There is no commitment. It's not like canceling cable where they forget you canceled and there's a buyout cost. And then there's all this stuff. They lose the letter. No, if we're not for you, you click a button. And we really implore you to make a fair assessment, give us a fair shot. And for those that say, I don't have time, it's like, I don't know how you don't have time to log on to a different website and place an order for the same supplies that you want.
One order. Yeah, just one portal. And I want to thank you guys too, because you've been supporting the podcast. You're a podcast sponsor, and I really appreciate that. And as a result, listeners, nobody told me that listeners get actually a 2-month free trial, and then you get a 3rd month if you buy anything from a vendor during the trial period. So it's like there's 3 months right there. And if you're a new Darby customer, you get a $200 Darby statement credit with any purchase. So
what else do you need, people?
I know. Like when you guys sent that over to me, like, hey, this is for your listeners, I was like, hot. Dang, that's amazing. So thank you for that. And thank you for your support. And Ted, how do they find you? How are they get in touch with you?
You could call or text me. I'm going to give out my cell phone right here on the internet.
Go ahead, put it out there.
My number is 516-316-3671. Call or text anytime. Go to the synergydentalpartners.com. Leave your information. There's an 800 number there. I'll make sure that the call is answered or is responded right away. Regardless, you can leave your information. There's countless, web forms to fill out. We really want to make it as easy for you as possible to reach out. And Teresa, thank you. My goodness, when I got here, the first thing I said was schedule a meeting with Teresa. And
I appreciate that. Yeah, for sure. So Ted gave you the link there. There's also the link in the show notes where you can follow it. Just know that they support the podcast, but I don't get anything from every individual sign up. So feel free to either mention my name or not. I just am impressed with the pricing. And I always want to make sure that you guys are taken care of. That's just my commitment to you. So thank you so much, Ted, for being on. We're going to have some more laughs coming up soon. I'll see you down in Florida very soon. And dear listeners, I always appreciate that you spend your time with me. Thank you. We're all super busy, so thank you for making time for me today. The show notes will have any links that we referenced in the episode. You can also find links for my book, events, and my online insurance course, Dental Insurance Design and Management. I speak often around the country on management and insurance issues. Come hang out with me in one of my classes. I promise you'll laugh and learn.